We
Oh,
said
that's
all the
all
bad
right.
stuff now.
It's snowing. We will want to get out of here anyway, I think. Thank you for everybody for being very patient. And we don't have to say any more.
Nathan,
Nobody would have.
This one, same thing where they wrote in down all the neighbors and stuff.
thank you.
Minutes. I started correcting, well, not correcting the minutes, I started adding to the minutes, and I had a day off, so I made like tons of changes, so we don't have to go with all my changes, but go through the minutes and I had too much time on my hands.
Well, part of the problem was I couldn't remember when it came to the
Yeah.
money. It didn't add up, so I just kind of left it out.
Oh, okay. Which now it doesn't add up anyway, so that's,
Okay.
yeah, I'll in Gray's Inn wetland restoration, like the first paragraph or whatever, it just says received an invoice from Greg Howard for the Ice Pond Brook Dam. That, what I threw in from Greg Howard for the annual Ice Pond Brook monitoring report, which will come to its completion in 2014. Okay, just so that, and the reason is the minutes here, they're kind of for people to, the public to understand what's going on. And that tells them that this is the thing that's been going on since 2009.
Yeah.
It ends in 2014.
Yeah, it was totally, I mean, I had the question when I read it, what do you mean for the Ice Pond
Brook Dam.
What did they do?
Yeah, what did
Put
we
in
do
a
to
new
the
one?
dam? Yeah, and that's all. And then the next line, where it said, motion was made to pay Greg Howard's invoice for the Ice Pond Brook Dam again, I just put Ice Pond Brook restoration work.
Okay.
Instead of dam, I put restoration. So that's okay with everyone. And then one other change was JCC budget has spent $2,285. Our budget is $2,000. It sounds like we overspent our budget
It
by
does, doesn't it?
$280.
Yeah.
Sure does.
So
Yeah.
I just put our operating budget is $2,000.
Good.
And we can, explain the other 285 or whatever else, somewhere else. And then, yeah, that's fine. And then down the bottom, members discussed the DES issue with the ice pond and erosion at Whitney's as requested by Mary Howe. The bank in the bottom of the Great Brook can't be disturbed, which is true. The commission will continue to monitor the situation. Do we want to say anything else there or no? Does that help people understand any? I just wanted to know if
And this
anybody
is
want to clarify it or if
The
it's
sandbags from the snowmaking again?
Yeah.
So I assume the
Yeah.
sandbags are back up.
Does Mary Howe care if we put her name in the minutes? Should
I
we
would
put by a
think so.
concerned person, or does she? Okay.
She's pretty fast.
Yeah, I don't think
Okay,
Mary
I
Helen
just- I
wants.
just didn't
Yeah,
know.
that's a good point,
She's the one who
always.
requested it.
Yeah.
She's
She used to be on the commission, just so you know that as well.
I think the idea is that if somebody is, a member of the public comes to us, just like we're supposed to write down who comes
Yeah.
and sits before us, right?
Right.
Just attending the
Yeah.
meeting.
Right.
And she was,
Okay, so is this
fired
okay the
about
way
it.
it is? Does
Yeah,
it-
I mean, we are.
Okay, we're just gonna monitor it? Okay.
Because,
I
the thing is.
just wanted to know if we wanted to add any
We don't
more.
want to just drop it because she was so fired up.
No, and
Yeah.
actually, we've got something on it. We just got a letter from the DES on it, so, good.
Good.
Okay,
Motion to approve as amended.
second. All in favor? Good. All right, So, Jackson Falls, let's go there. And we have, since the last meeting, a Jackson Falls monitoring report, which I don't intend for you to read like right now, because we'll be here all night long. But on that note, I think do you want to have a copy for you?
I can share.
Nah, here you go.
Yeah.
I got one.
Nice picture.
Yeah, he did a nice job on it, and what he did was follow up, and then one thing I did not realize with him doing this is there's also a follow-up bill, so that will be the next thing. But it's good that he did it, because this goes, he made 3 copies for the selectmen. I'll get them to them for their next meeting. And it shows what was done, really nice photos,
Yeah.
but it really commends Jay Henry and the work he did and the steps that he put in. One comment I wanted to make was those steps, I believe Jay told me that they were donated by Dean Davis.
Oh.
So that's just a nice thing to know that, wlocal people are, doing stuff like that, donating steps and donating, bark, mulch,
Yep.
Who did that, by the way?
Ryman McLean.
Ryman McLean donated the
Do you
Do
bark
you want to
mulch
put
that
that
we
in
used.
here or not?
Yeah, are you taking minutes?
Somebody's got, so who's going to
Okay,
take minutes of it?
that a girl.
I don't like taking this, having to type them up like the night before the meeting.
Yeah, don't say that out loud. They're supposed to be done in 72 hours by law.
Wow, somebody else is doing it, that's all I
But
say.
we don't pay anyone, so.
Yeah, so, do we want to put any of that?
Yeah.
I'd like to, mention that Dean Davis,
Yeah,
donated the rocks, and Ryman McLean donated the bark mulch, and, that's been the beauty of the Conservation Commission. When we went to build that trail, people just showed up.
yep.
So I read it, it's a great report. I came to the last selectmen's meeting last Thursday, and thought I was walking into a can of worms. Jay said, have you found anything out about the staircase and whether or not we can keep them at the falls? And I went, what do you mean? And apparently someone, a member of the public came forward and said, is it going to be a liability now that we put stairs in? Do we need railings? Do they need to be to code? Blah, blah, blah. So the selectman had asked Andy to look into it, the building inspector. Andy came back and said, no, we're fine. There's no more liability on an open project like that. If there had been federal grant involved in it, yes, we would have, if there's federal money involved. And the fact that, and then someone asked, well, is it because it's wild and scenic, does that affect it? And I said, no, it's wild and scenic is the river, not the town property. So we're covered, and they're beautiful stairs.
Yeah. Very nice.
Call them steps.
It's on steps,
Steps.
And on that note,
technical name.
All right.
we got a final bill from Greg Howard for this, for the monitoring report. And where is the bill? This thing here, it says invoice. And it's a bill for $525. And I'll go down it quick. It was an on-site meeting with Jay Henry, the road agent, to review the proposed action plan, inspect the work completed by the highway department, and discuss recommendations, an hour and a half. This goes back to 7, is that July? July 22nd? July 30th, conducted site inspection of completed work. August 13th, site inspection during heavy rainfall to evaluate the installed stormwater measures. And actually on that one, I think it was some of the upper stones that he had put in, he had to redo or add more because they found out
They
that
were blowing out.
it was blowing out. On October 16th, he conducted a site inspection of our work that we had done and the highway department, the final staircase and steps. And November 1st, he generated the monitoring report, and November 26th, he edited it, labeled the photographs, et cetera, et cetera. So I need a motion to pay final bill to Greg Howard, $525.
So moved.
Second. All in favor? And then while we're just happy to be on that, while we're on making motions. I told you that we were waiting for Rick Davis's bill, exact same as last year. Mowing Prospect Farm, 23 hours at $50 an hour, and trimming the cellar holes, 12 hours at $40 an hour. Came to $1,630. I think that was the exact same figure as last year. I'll make a motion to pay that bill. In a second. All in favor?
Was there any addition about the potential parking restrictions in this plan that we
Well,
talked
we had
about?
talked
as a
about adding
possibility?
that.
Yeah,
And we haven't added it yet. I think we could probably work on that in the spring.
Okay.
You know, and I think we should go for all of the parking and then settle with negotiating for at least Valley Crossroad the first year and see how that goes. And see if, Jay wouldn't put a couple of big rocks up there to stop people from driving in on the property.
I don't know, I mean,
But we should
it
ask.
needs to be rock so much as maybe just signage. When you put a rock, people just park worse, because they're like, oh.
Well, there's the one location where they can drive in,
Right,
so
yeah,
I want a rock there.
yeah,
So I've seen cars parked.
right, they're calling like you're at a tent site.
Yeah,
But
Yeah.
if you look over at Echo Lake, they have those signs,
Yeah.
spaced pretty regularly.
Regularly.
I think
to-
you need
Yeah.
And it keeps people
to
off.
enforce it.
So
like
one
you're
boulder,
gonna be
yeah, sign.
fined,
Yeah.
because it just makes people park weirder.
And then Carl, you just go to him and say,
Yeah.
this is what we want to do, and
Right.
I guess he's going to have to get us a sign or the highway
Enforce
department.
those rules.
Yeah.
And it's probably the best.
Somebody's
bet.
gonna have to enforce it.
Right,
That's-
Yeah.
if you don't
That's
see
the
cars
problem with
parked there, you
90% of the
tend to
stuff
not
that
park
we do
there.
in this town is nobody enforces it.
Yeah. Carl will enforce that.
Yeah.
He's very good about
Yeah.
no parking. Boy, anybody, like, in front of my shop, and either side they park,
Oh, yeah.
man, he's right on them. He's good. So we still have a pile of wood chips there. Oh, man, and I had hoped, and it just didn't work out. I don't know if we should ask Jay just to scoop them up and get rid of them?
I
No,
don't
I'd
think
say
it's-
just leave them
Or
there.
just leave them there till
I
the
don't think they're
spring?
gonna- I don't think
They're gonna compost.
They-
Should I ask
I
Jay?
think they blend in by this time.
Yeah,
like,
they'll
they're
get
so long.
darker and
All
they're
right.
frozen solid.
Let me ask Jay if he wants them out of there. He probably
Yeah,
does.
that'd be the only thing I can think of is if.
Yeah,
for
'cause
whatever
for
reason-
plowing.
Yeah.
plowing.
I don't think it would work. I don't think it
But
causes
I'll
any
ask.
plowing issues, though.
I'll
It's
ask
far
him.
enough off, if anything,
Yeah.
it'll just get
Yeah,
covered.
I think it's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're just gonna be nice and dark by
Okay.
the spring.
Yeah, well aged.
Well,
Like
they're-
fine wine.
And I don't think we're gonna get to them. I had asked Bill Wogish is,
Sign chips.
yeah,
You can't move them like
no, they're
well,
gonna-
Wogish is coming back tomorrow, and I said, if we get a halfway decent warm day, would you consider going down there with your bucket and hitting them? And just seeing if we could do
Well,
it?
it'd be a break
He said he
down.
would.
Yeah.
Yeah, they wouldn't be frozen solid.
He asked me to call up Dean and have Dean just come and get his tractor and do it, and I didn't feel
I'll drive the tractor.
Yeah, well, I would have liked to too, but
He didn't ask you though, did he?
no, he didn't ask me. He wants someone who knows how to drive the tractor. But he said Dean might do it for nothing, he might just do it. So, but I was gonna wait for him. So there is still a chance, but I doubt it, especially now we got 3 inches of snow. We don't even know where we're spreading them.
Yeah, that warm week, or if they got smushed, I bet we could move them.
Yeah.
Once they got broken up, but.
And then today I just ran up and I took all the tape down.
Oh.
It was just
Yeah.
looking
Yeah.
tacky, and I figured it's 4
Should
inches
be
of
safe,
snow. It's,
yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's okay if they walk on it by now. Okay, so I think we're good on the falls. What else do we have?
Although it is nice, it's lots of things we have to do in the spring, so that's good.
Oh, does he have a list?
Yeah.
Oh, good.
It's really good.
Oh, okay, actually, let's see that list. Quick glance at it.
I think it's like 8, 9, 10, something
Yeah.
like that.
Oh, yeah.
Footpaths.
Okay, the picnic table sites, exposed soil surfaces.
Closed paths,
Oh,
signage.
on that note, I went up there one day, and there was this huge branch down on the side of the road, I mean, big. And I dragged it over to one of the paths we want to get rid of, and just by laying this thing in there, it's
Yep.
gone. It just, it effectively, it removed it. You can't walk over this huge branch, you can't get by it.
Yeah, just as long as the highway department doesn't
Come and take it.
Yeah.
I hid it so they wouldn't see it.
Yeah.
The only thing we really need, I put on the agenda quickly was the annual report. Is there anything in anybody want, what do we want to put? It's not due till, she told me, end of January, or February. That's in the annual report. But I think it's all I was going to do was update Gray's Inn, the monitoring and the fact that it's over as of next year for the 5-year plan that we had the wetlands permit. I was going to do, a large piece, the biggest paragraph on the falls. That's where we concentrated our time.
Our trail.
Trail.
Yeah.
Oh, it's trail. Oh, and
That was a
the
long
Gristone sign.
Yep.
That's,
Yeah.
we did get that achieved this year. Gristone.
Didn't we,
And then how about the island? Just mention that we decided to cut it, but not
I'm not on the bridge.
build a bridge.
yeah, I thought we agreed to just
Yeah.
maintain
To
the
trim.
path. Not so much.
Okay, trim trail, path. Gristone sign. Anybody else? I was just trying to get ideas.
What about, didn't we go over
Nothing
some
on
of,
Prospect.
didn't we look into some more of our possible conservation easements and
Well, we could mention that, I mean, in theory, the prospect, the cutting and stuff that's going on is under our jurisdiction, if you will. And we just voted to pay
oh, I know something.
for it, so why don't you put, we cleared, I mean, we didn't do it personally.
Oh, you mean
Yeah.
the mowing and the
Yeah, yeah.
ongoing mowing?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Ongoing.
annual maintenance of.
yeah, annual maintenance of property, whatever you
Okay.
want to call it. But yeah, that's the.
And it's gotten expensive. To me, that's expensive. $1,600 a year. Every year, our operating budget is $2,000. We were taking it out of the Prospect Farm Baker Trust Fund,
Right.
and we stopped doing that 2-3 years ago, and we started paying for it because we have, other income now. The other income being the half of the change of use tax. Again, I know we're going to see a change of use tax this year because I know of at least one property that changed hands, changed use, but I don't know how that's done. I don't know if it's done on December 31st.
They
And,
may have 18 months. 18 months,
okay.
something.
Yeah, I don't know if the town clerk does it. I don't know
Yeah.
Probably.
the treasurer. I think it's the town clerk.
Town clerk, probably.
Yeah, reports it to the treasurer.
Yeah.
But, I just kind of
Town
want
clerk's the one that assesses all the taxes, and if
Yeah.
anything, hands the money to the treasurer.
Right. Well, I just want to keep an eye on it, just so that it doesn't fall through the cracks.
Yeah.
Because it's 50% of the change of use. It goes into the Conservation Commission fund.
Change of
And
use is 10%, yeah.
it's 10%, so it's pretty big.
Not the
Right.
current value.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Oh,
Good
good
chunk
job.
of change.
That's, yeah.
Didn't we manage to get talk to the AMC or the Forest Service about who is actually maintaining the Iron Mountain Trail?
Yeah, I got it for trail action.
Just mention Iron Mountain Trail, that it's no longer under JCC and
Yeah, it's currently
Under nobody.
nobody. Yeah, it's currently available for trail adoption. Right there.
Where it's always been.
Oh, the other thing we did, Larry, was, remember when we went up and looked at the request for more cutting up off of, Carter Notch Road there? Remember we went up and crawled around through the woods up there when they wanted to cut more, and we said, no, you can't.
They want to implement, while they're up there, let's go to the
Right,
river.
right, while we're up there,
Yeah.
let's cut some more, don't you remember that?
you mean up at Prospect?
Yeah, yeah, up,
Was that this
Well-
year?
yeah. That was this-
Yeah, it was this year.
Yeah.
Was it? The
Yeah, we just-
beginning of the year?
It was early in the year,
It was,
Was it this
you
year?
were barefoot, so
it
it
was
wasn't.
before we joined.
This was before you joined.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't
So
remember
It
it.
wasn't this year.
Yeah,
I
okay.
think it was in the spring, because I remember Jess
Yeah.
telling me about it
Yeah.
when she was
Yeah.
leaving.
It was,
I thought.
it was spring
It was April or May.
And it was this year.
with Dexter.
Yeah.
You sure it wasn't last year?
Well,
No, I'm not sure.
I don't think it was this
Yeah.
year.
Now it's,
Because these guys came in April.
June.
June.
Oh, so maybe.
It was wet. It was definitely early spring. It was
Yeah,
wet.
it was mushy.
I remember that.
It was.
But there was no snow, so it couldn't have been.
we also
That-
have,
I bet Jess would know. Call Jess.
I think it was last year.
I didn't go, so I
no,
You know, another thing we did is you put
Get credit for it. If it was last year, did it get reported last year? Did
Well,
somebody-
it's in the
where's
annual report. Yeah, it's in the town report. if it
Okay,
is.
well,
We'll see, yeah.
continued
I'll go grab it. I'll
monitoring
keep
of
talking.
all conservation easements in the town of Jackson. That's
Yeah.
something people
Oh,
should know how to do.
And actually,
Keeping you up.
on that note, that's a good one. So I wrote my,
That's a big thing that we do that I don't think a lot of people know.
no, which ones are outstanding? I got Mike's back and I got yours
I
back.
think I gave you mine back.
We have ours.
We have ours.
I need those. What do you have? Who do you have?
On Carter Notch Road.
Yeah.
So you've got Tillman.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep. Yep, we have it.
that's an easy one to do.
It's on the we
Drive
literally
by
talk
it
about
every day.
Yeah.
Which is
I need that one.
It's all here.
And then who else
It's
has
that
one?
White House
You have it?
with the,
No.
With the,
I
with
think
the
with the
horses,
farm,
got the
right, with the
horses.
horses
Yeah,
across
yeah,
from
she's
It's on
it.
the
these
right-hand
fields
side.
on the
It's-
fence.
Yeah.
It's nice.
This is
Nice
our
big
meeting
flower.
on the minutes for December 10th,
Of,
of 2000, well, it couldn't be 2013.
no, can't be, it's
2012, and
tomorrow.
it says that this is when we're paying forest land improvement for blazing the property boundary of Lyons property.
That was last year.
It was noted that,
Dexter was at the meeting. remember?
yeah,
Yeah, I'm pretty sure it was last year, guys.
Well, I'll tell you what, let's see.
I know, I should be able to find it, and I have all of it. They're not- they're just
For
not
the easement
organized.
monitoring, we turn it back into you or mail it directly?
Me,
Okay,
yeah,
okay,
and then I'll just send them all in.
okay.
Yeah, it's, that one, and they ask if you spoke to her. Do you know Mrs. Tilley?
Mm-mm,
You might get to see the really cool cattle they've got over there.
yeah.
It's Scottish Highland or something like
Yeah.
that. It lives
Wow.
outside, right?
I literally just got on the phone last year and said, did you do anything on the property at all?
You're right, Larry.
Well,
I
we
guess
really
here
wanted to
it was,
walk
yeah.
it just for fun.
It's in 2012 report.
Oh, good, I thought you guys were
Well, you get to
trying
go
to tell
Eagle
me.
Mountain Trail.
I thought it was me.
Yeah,
Put it on, see if anybody reads it.
Okay, last thing then on the agenda. No, actually, let me go over we did get a letter, and this is what I wanted to touch upon. The Department of Environmental Services did send this letter, but they sent it to, and it's on what Mary Howe was speaking about with the sandbags in the brook, Great Brook, et cetera. But it's addressed, and this is the odd part of this, is that it's addressed to Levine Properties, who's the owner of the property. He leases that property to Whitney's Inn, but John Fitzgerald at Black Mountain has a permit to draw water and an easement across the property with the pipe for snowmaking. So
Is Whitney's in the Don guy who owns this?
Don, right,
Okay.
is Mr. Bilger. So it's dear Mr. Levine, Mr. Bilger, and Mr. Fitzgerald.
So Levine owns.
He's the property owner.
He leases to
Whitney's,
Whitney's, which
Don
is
Bilger.
the builder at Whitney's.
And John Fitzgerald just has an easement to draw water for snowmaking.
Okay.
And
That block.
I believe that dam is old. It wasn't, I don't know if it was put in for
It was put in by,
that reason, or?
is it Bill Whitney?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, I
For
think I read someplace that they dug that back in the,
For snowmaking or no? Not back
I
then.
don't know, but it was dug.
Yeah, for some other reason.
Is it really used as a fire pond? by the
Fire
time,
pond,
too?
just gonna
It's
say
also a fire pond now.
Okay.
Yes.
But that wasn't its intended purpose.
No.
From what I read, which is why they're sort of,
So basically, it's just going over what they've asked them to do. And this is just a DES follow-up, and they have like, I think 16 items on here. And I'll keep it in the public domain if somebody
So who
wants
has
to
do
see it.
Does the owner do it? Does the
Uh,
lessee, the easement holder, who has to do it?
Good question on that. I think it's John Fitzgerald, but I honestly don't know the answer.
To address all of it.
But it says here, snowmaking season only, a temporary cofferdam, approximately 19 feet long, will be constructed in Great Book to be monitored and managed in accordance with the plan. So they've put together a plan. Any further alteration of areas on this property are within the jurisdiction of DES. Installation of the temporary cofferdam shall not cause river flow to be completely diverted from Great Brook, which it hasn't ever. Construction shall be done according to the plan, but we don't have a copy of the plan, so they must. A qualified environmental consultant shall supervise the activities. Cofferdam shall not be installed during periods of high flow, whether due to seasonal runoff or precipitation. Temporary cofferdam shall be entirely removed immediately following the end of the 2013-2014 snowmaking season. So he can put a temporary cofferdam in, he just has to remove it.
That means when the,
All necessary steps shall be taken to ensure that no water quality violations occur. No machinery shall be used within the water. The qualified environmental consultant shall inspect the work area and submit an initial monitoring report with photographs within 14 days. A report shall be submitted to DES, the removal of the temporary cofferdam. This approval does not convey a property right, blah, blah, blah. This approval does not relieve the owner from obligations, transfer, yeah. So,
I mean, that means the dam has to come out in February. That's when he stops making snow.
you know, or March or,
Immediately upon end of snowmaking.
yeah, or March, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, somewhere in there. So it's been dealt with, and, you know, and they came, you know, I know originally they came to us and asked us, and within 24 hours, I had gone up there, I had called DES, I had spoken to, you know, John Fitzgerald, and I had spoken to Don Bilger about it, but it really isn't in our purview. But I understand, but for us to keep our eyes on what's going on with the environment in our town is important. So the only thing we, I think, could do in that situation is respond, is say, you need to go to DES, or, you know, and that's where I directed Mary. I
Isn't
said,
that part of it still part of the Wild and Scenic, and isn't the Wild and Scenic?
it feeds into it.
I thought that branch of it was Wild and
Oh,
Scenic,
it-
up to where the roads meet, right,
Yeah,
for the
I
end.
think Great Brook.
Right, but again, what is our role in that?
Well, I thought we were supposed to notice things going wrong
Right.
and tell people about it.
Yeah, and that's about it. And,
I think
All I
it's good
would-
to discuss it and have it
Right.
out in
Yeah.
the open.
I
That's
think
what
we
think.
should be open to anybody telling us anything.
Anything.
that has to
'Cause
do
we're
with
kind of
anything
conduit.
that happens in town, as opposed to telling them that, you know, I mean, we want to have open hands so that if someone sees something minor, they tell us, because who else are they going to tell?
Well, then I say if
They
there's
won't tell
something to be
anybody.
done or something, where our responsibility is then to
Right.
report it. That we are to give advice to the selectmen, is the role of the conservation.
Right, we should be more qualified than
Yeah.
somebody else
Okay.
in town, you know, the neighbor who doesn't know anything more. I mean, we at least
A group.
have more contact with these situations than,
And I'm thinking
Right.
we're being copied with letters so that we, you know, to the conservation
Yeah.
commission, so that we're
Right.
kind of like the public
Keeps
conduit,
us
so
in the
people
loop,
know what's going on.
too, if they include us.
Yeah, and
we-
everybody else does too.
I thought this was a good example of what we should do. I thought
Good.
I thought so. They
Yeah,
came.
me too.
like
They came
we
to
said,
us.
We went and looked at it. I mean, a bunch of us went up
Yeah,
and looked
we
at
all-
it
Yeah.
separately and decided, you know, this is beyond us, and
yeah,
turned it over to
it's in the purview of the
DES, yeah.
selectmen, the DES, and,
Because maybe in a sense it could protect the person who did wrong by them coming to a town, a
right.
group in the town, before someone just immediately calls the state or
State.
federal. And,
Yeah.
you know, it gives someone a chance to keep it local, talk about it, and then say, hey, what you did is wrong, and you should be, the person who did it should be,
Yeah,
brought
responsible.
to everybody's attention.
This was an odd situation, and where I wasn't, I guess it landed between meetings, so when we did get a chance and we had a meeting, we all did get up there, and I told you all to go take a look at it. But it was an odd situation where I wasn't sure, where there were three different people, Levine, Fitzgerald, and Don, I wasn't sure who was responsible, and then also Jay did some of that work.
Right.
And Don did some of that work, so I didn't know, did the town do it? Did, who put the sandbags in the brook? I honestly, to this day, I don't know the answer to that. I'm
But
not
we
sure,
We
who
don't
did
have to
that.
protect anybody.
Yeah.
We can just be the place where they tell us what they know.
No.
Yeah, and I don't think it's our role to try to figure out.
We
who
don't
did
need to
it.
take
Yeah.
sides
No,
that
that's
much.
not-
It's just
Yeah.
Flow.
be a place that people feel comfortable to
Yeah.
say anything, I mean, it's not weed or.
So it has been dealt with, it looks like, and it's in the proper, hands. Final thing is the sign. Here's the little. I got the post in,
Nice.
and I got 2 coats of paint on the post. It's sitting there, so this needs to be screwed to the post. And our
Take it
carpenter,
with me.
Is going to put little shingles on it.
I got a couple of
First, I'll
stacks.
get the angle cut right.
Well, I'm not a
Are
carpenter.
you saying the
Well, there's a little
Oh,
gap
yeah,
here.
Yeah, but I thought you could put some, see, I was taught the sign of a good carpenter. The sign of a good carpenter is someone who knows how to hide his mistakes.
No,
So I
you
thought
can
some
fix-
nice little
You don't
saplings,
hide it, you fix it.
nice little saplings in there,
Well,
like
maybe.
and that would hide that little gap.
Very natural.
Little
Ed was gonna
decoration.
cut the
Yeah,
angle.
yeah, the natural
It's a miter.
appearance.
Miter.
Miter, okay.
Yeah, it's actually the carpenter who can fix.
Yeah,
his
no,
own
hide,
mistakes. Not hide. Hide means it's gonna break later.
But very nice job, Larry, very nice job.
Hey, I still have a few things in the annual report.
Oh,
We
good.
didn't-
Good.
Not weed policy, or not weed,
Oh, yeah, that's right, not weed.
we had
Oh,
that
yeah,
meeting.
Yeah, that was fun.
We had Larry's favorite one was the cemetery, the Jackson Walk Path thing with the signs for the benches and.
Oh, please.
Oh, what was that, the cataloging or the inventory?
I'm trying to forget that.
Bench inventory?
Oh, was that
Yes.
this year? Was that this year?
That was.
Let's say it was last year. Let's say it was last year. That means I'd have to follow up on some of that.
Yeah.
And
We can forget about that one.
Okay,
I'm
thank
cool
you.
with that.
Okay.
We had the Couture,
yeah,
property.
and actually,
Oh, that's right, the 5,000-foot driveway.
well, I was going to mention that we've had, I think we've
Started
had,
out as a logging road.
we've had 3 expedited at least, if not 4.
Yeah.
Permits, but they're tiny ones.
think-
Yeah, we had-
But this one we should mention probably, and we don't have to use name, but because it was a large one and we were concerned and it was probably beyond our,
The 3 to 4 expedited wetlands permits, is that what they were?
yeah,
does anyone know what that's
but
being called at this point? What
What do you mean?
is he doing?
he's gonna build a single-family home at the top.
Oh, is that
That's
5,000?
That's what he has, that's what he got a permit for.
5,000-foot
He
driveway.
did get a permit.
He
for-
got the all-terrain permit. I don't know if he's gotten a building permit yet here at the town, so he may not be ready to build.
But he's got
But
the,
what makes you think he's gonna build a single family home?
He told me this, and I tended to believe him.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah. But I think
Is this like as in Coacher?
in order to do, in other words, if he were going to subdivide that, he'd have to go to the planning board. And he hasn't done that. I'm on the planning board. So I'm assuming he's going to
You're
do
aware of that,
what he said.
what his deed says for the entry to his property, that he can build a right-of-way, he can build a driveway any width necessary to access his property.
Well,
So-
his driveway is, you saw
Effectively, he could build a driveway that would pass as a town road.
his driveway is going to pass as a town road. I
Exactly,
believe.
so-
That sounds like,
So-
this is what he does for a living. That's
Right.
why he
I've
can
been
do
up-
it.
I was up there.
Yeah.
It is.
It's huge.
It's unbelievable.
Yeah. Unbelievable what he's put into this driveway. He
This
had to
road.
build up to cross that brook, right? You went.
Yeah,
He had to
Three
build
of
up,
us.
oh my God, I think he had to build up 10, 15 feet.
It is, yeah.
Up in,
yeah,
to,
yeah.
either side. So, the amount of money, and, it is a high.
So all I'm getting at is,
Could he
I'm-
change his mind down the line? I guess he could. And then he'd have to apply for a subdivision.
Subdivision.
Yeah.
And I remember getting an email a while ago about, I don't think everybody got it, but I received an email. Basically, it sounded like, what he's doing is okay, and let's not badger this situation, because this is an option that he could try to do. He could say, forget this whole thing, it's
Oh,
not
yeah.
worth my money
Yeah,
to
sure he could.
fight you guys to build this road.
Yeah.
I'll just.
He's done everything
subdivide."
right, though. And that's, this is a situation where, it was beyond us to just look at it and figure it out, whether,
Right.
because it could have eroded real fast, real heavy rains in the spring. And so that's why we didn't just sign off on it. But this man, he went and got an all-terrain permit. I mean,
Larry, you don't have a choice.
well,
You don't have a choice
yeah.
to get an
Well, I
all-terrain
know,
permit.
but
It's kind of like
but
saying
yet-
someone went and got their car inspected.
Oh, I know.
It's their birthday candy.
I know, but nevertheless, he has done everything right all along. He hasn't reneged or tried to not do it properly. So my guess is he's going to build a single-family home on the top of that mountain. And if he changes his mind, that's his prerogative.
Right, but the only reason I bring it up is it seems like at one point people backed down because the concern was if the cost goes up so high, this is what his other option would be.
Be.
I'm saying maybe that's the plan from the get-go.
Yeah.
So
Well,
I don't,
we can't, even guess at something like that. It's-
it just seems in a way that it's just been taken off the radar entirely, like anything that's going on up there. And
There's-
I just question,
Yeah,
Why are you
is there
allowed-
work going on up there? I haven't.
unbelievable
Oh.
amounts of work.
Oh, well, maybe we should wander up.
Well, it's a
Yeah,
single family.
take a
home,
walk.
or is it still the road?
Do you know where we're talking about, you two?
Yeah, the big.
Okay.
Up off
cut.
Green Hill.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
not saying he's
Yeah.
doing anything wrong. I'm just
Yeah.
saying it's an enormous project that's going
Yeah.
on
For a
in
single-family
town.
dwelling.
Yeah.
Single family or not, I'm just,
Yeah.
what is the monitoring of it? I mean, at what point does anyone say,
Right.
is the state involved? Do they go up and check on his?
Well, I don't think it could hurt for us to. I know that the actual, now that it's in an all-terrain permit, they will monitor the actual work being done on the road and the driveway, because they have to complete that to specs. So DES is, looking at that end of it. As far as a town end, as far as, what they're doing, do we have a role?
I don't know. I just wanted
Yeah.
to say
Yeah, I'm
this
just
again.
asking.
I'm not
Yeah.
bringing it up to say he's doing anything wrong.
Right.
Or
I
I'm
don't
opposed to
think we
even
do.
what he's doing. It's impressive.
Do we
I
have
think
a
it's
role?
incredible.
I don't think we do.
I just haven't heard
Beyond-
anything in
beyond
so
our local
long that
wetlands issue.
brings
Yeah.
it up to me and says, what is going on up there?
Yeah.
Because,
But as a resident, and you have before, said, you could go to a selectmen's meeting and say, there's a lot of work going on. Do we want to send Andy over, or do we want to send Burr over and see if it's gone beyond?
yeah, I just
Yeah.
wanted to make
That's-
sure.
But that would be the
That's
route.
not a commission issue, though.
Yeah, that would be the route to go. It's
Right.
not
Okay.
through us, I don't
No, I was
think.
asking more as a question. Are
Yeah.
we in the loop and do we know?
Yeah, and answering it as, I'm not sure, do we have a role? And I guess the answer is,
I don't think.
I don't think we do.
Now that when we
Yeah.
looked at the wetlands situation, I think that was our
Right.
role.
But where there is a large piece of land being developed in our town, I mean, again, you close your eyes,
Well, I just don't want to go
as-
down
Yeah.
having 2 years from now, if someone goes through the minutes and goes, what did those guys,
Yeah, they didn't even.
didn't do anything?
Yeah,
So in my eyes,
Yeah.
I just want to make sure at least
yeah,
it comes
no,
up
good.
for conversation, that we don't just go one
I
day and
suggest,
go, oh, we didn't know.
I mean, it's private property, so you can't just go walk it, but if, if you, see, Mr. Couture,
Yes,
ask him, and then, I don't mind asking him. Actually, I didn't recognize him. He sat down next to us at breakfast, and I kept saying to my wife, that man looks familiar to me. Who is he? And I didn't realize it until I left. And I went, I know who he is. And he said hello to me, and he said hi, like he knew me, and I just couldn't remember who he was. But I don't mind walking up to him and just saying, geez, how's it going? And, do you mind if I take a walk? And actually, I had mentioned that to him one day. I had asked him, do you mind if I walk up there just because it's a beautiful view? And he, no, go for it. So he said that to me one day. I would ask him again before
Right.
I do it again. Yeah. But no, it couldn't hurt to look.
Do you need a town permit for driveways, or is it just, how does
Yes.
that work in general? Yeah.
And Jay just looks at the entrance, the first 10 feet.
Yeah.
That's all we look at as of now. All right, last thing, ended up being longer, but that's all right. The sign, Mystery Loop, which I have for my buddy here.
Yeah, I was gonna scan and,
Yeah, what I ended up doing, it was Dave that took a look at it last meeting, and he said, why don't we just turn the map around? And it made sense, so I kind of turned the map around and filled some things in, but this is incredibly unprofessional. So what I could hand you, what I envisioned was next to the map is having something like that. And then on the map was going to be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Yeah.
Things like that.
What?
It's just unbelievable that they built buildings
I
like
know.
this.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
And they all
They,
burn
they-
down.
this burned
Third time.
3
Yeah,
times.
third
Yeah.
time.
You get like
Yeah,
5
they
years.
built this twice. They,
Crazy.
it was
Looks
built
like
in
it's in Washington, yeah.
1865, maybe. I had the date right here. And then it burned right around 1906. Or,
1982.
yeah, well, it burned
Oh,
twice
the last time,
before.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and they rebuilt it. So I kind of envisioned something like that next to that on our little sign, wherever it is. And one was going to be the remains of the granite dam, which formed the ice pond for the... So here's what I wrote up, but it isn't much. And I just wanted to work on that. And then I didn't know, like when you got to like the granite dam, and there'd be a 1, and we were hoping to put it on a tree or on a little post. This was on the granite dam, this bridge, and I would love for this photo. I wanted to rebuild this, but the dam has since fallen apart and it will never hold it.
That's cute.
But this is like 1970 or 1971, looking by the haircuts and dress. You can tell.
You got the Johnson Moore.
But I'd love to get that in there somewhere.
how much space do I have?
Well,
For the
that's,
sign?
Is it going
yeah, that's a good question.
Sorry.
You don't have a lot. And I don't, so that's why I thought, is there any way to narrow this up, or
Get the carpenter to make a bigger,
or get the carpenter to make a bigger sign?
Longer
And I'll
sign.
paint it?
Just tell me how big you want it.
bigger sign
That's-
house.
Yeah, I've got the post in the ground over there, and it's ready.
Yeah, you need something bigger than that.
Yeah,
So
well, that's
maybe-
fine with me.
So Mike, why don't you say what you need? That would
Yeah.
be good. I
Yeah,
mean,
well,
Yeah, this is just an idea.
Step number 1 is to start out and say, hey, here's an approximate measurement of what.
So the only thing I came up with, and it isn't much here, was like, just you two can kind of share. And it isn't much. Was, so the first one would be the granite dam. The second one was, and we didn't decide, were we going to do the cement dam or not? We didn't decide on that.
I felt like we weren't sure
Yeah,
we
you
were
s-
right of what we were calling it.
Well, yeah, and I wrote here, in later years, the concrete dam upriver, we believe,
Yeah.
may have been built to fill the swimming pool, which was located in direct line with the clay pipe off the side of the dam. But I don't, we're just guessing. And then it's not pretty anyway, the cement dam. So we didn't decide whether or not we even wanted number 2 on there.
Right, but I
Number
guess
3 was the vernal pool. I didn't write anything about it, but I kind of wanted to.
Oh, you mean Carter Notch? I'm
What?
sorry, 7, it took me like 10,
What?
took me like a minute there to figure out number
Oh,
7.
right.
Maybe
Harder
Liverpool,
notch.
we could
Harder
put
notch,
stuff
right.
in there.
Oh, I said Crawford.
Sorry, I just skipped ahead 4 things. I was
Yeah.
thinking like that.
Yeah.
That should have been an internal thought I saved. So
But
Oh, that's all right.
Vernal pool, you could put down what you look for.
I'm just in the wrong valley.
Vernal pool.
I just thought we
So-
should have a little explanation.
I was just gonna say.
JCC, refurbished, or what's the word?
Yeah, what the hell?
Rejuvenated.
So are these written descriptions going to be
Tell them
at
what a vernal
each
pool is, Larry.
stop?
Well, I wondered that. Do we
Or
want?
like in a brochure that people get out of a kiosk and carry with
Yeah,
them
that sounds like
frequently.
money. And then somebody's gotta replace them.
Yeah.
So I thought we'd just have like, at the Granite Dam, number 1.
And then
just
there'll be
that
like
little
the master
description.
copy hanging here that they can go
Yeah,
back
and a
and
little
look.
description. And it would be nice if that photo were at the first one, the little photo and it's on, this big.
Yeah.
Like, can you reduce that?
I'm sure if I check
Yeah,
it out.
okay.
What
Yeah.
if we took the name Trail off the name, so it's just the Mystery House Loop, so it's
Oh,
smaller?
I'd do that.
mouthful?
I'll
That's
do
good.
that. I'm good with
Yeah, I
that.
like that.
Do you want to do that? Mystery House Loop and get rid
Yeah.
of trail? Okay.
How about Mystery House Loop Trail Path?
Mystery House Loop. Just Mystery House Loop?
Yeah, I just had mystery loop.
Mystery House.
Mystery House.
So number 4, Apple Orchard revitalized by the Jackson Conservation Commission. So just so you guys know, we revitalized that. We had it all brushed out and was once a food source as the inn produced the majority of its own food.
What a great.
Probably
Yeah, it is a
for,
great picture, isn't it? Yeah.
Park cider.
Mystery House Foundation discovered when trail was cut in 2012.
Should we say a little more?
Take the apostrophe out.
We're not quite sure what
Yeah, well, I left it,
kind of a building it was, right?
so
That's
what I'd love you to do is take a copy of this with you, everybody.
I was gonna wordsmith it a little bit.
Yeah,
Alright.
that's what I want you, well, that's what I said to you. I'd give you a rough outline and somebody else wordsmith, and then give it to Mike. Do you
Okay.
have one? Yeah. Okay, I did make 6 copies. Oh, and then remember I did the brochure for the Jackson Chamber on the trail?
Yeah.
And this is what I had for it. It just said, this trail begins just beside the town library on what was once the historical Gray's Inn property. The first trail sign is at the end of the long parking lot, which was once the tennis courts for Gray's Inn, and that's almost true because it's not there yet. There are 2 loops approximately 1.5 miles from beginning to end. That was a guess. This trail follows Ice Pond Brook and has along its way stops at the 1800s Ice Pond Dam and the old early 1900s cement dam. It crosses Ice Pond Brook uphill to the junction of the lower loop, bearing right uphill again, follow the signs to the Mystery House Foundation and the upper loop. So, yeah, there's going to be a sign there.
Yep.
Yeah, of course, I printed this year, and none of those signs were there. People are still wandering around looking for those signs. This upper loop affords 2 nice views, one towards majestic Mount Washington, other towards Carter Notch. Coming down the mountain, the lower loop takes you over the historic Thornhill Inn and back through the Apple Orchard to Jackson Village and the parking lot where you first began. You can have that. So, a year later, we still don't have the sign, but the signpost is up and we're close.
Do you have a digital copy of this photo? It's easier. You could email me and
Yeah, you know what,
I can try to take it off the sheet of paper.
I got this one off of Googling.
Oh, okay. So I can just.
This one I Googled
Oh, okay. So this.
Gray's Inn.
Okay.
That one I think was a postcard I had in my drawer, and
Okay.
you
Then you know.
you want to see how,
So, but the postcard
see how
would be
technical
best.
I am. I clipped around it, put it on the piece of paper, laid it flat on my copy machine.
Would the postcard be your best source?
Because then you can
Scan the
scan that.
No.
directly,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Scan that postcard in.
'Cause that
You
might
want a
be-
postcard, or this one's a nice copy, actually.
Well, if you don't, if no one cares, I mean, if they're not.
Or take it off the,
Oh, this is the postcard as well.
another
Another
postcard.
postcard. Okay. Yeah. If you're not if you're not like this is the.
Oh, no, I don't care. No, you can get any, yeah, there's like 3 different versions of the inn. You know, it was built
Yeah,
3
there's
different
first,
times.
second, and third.
Yeah.
Hey Larry, can we get this on the website somewhere?
I just posted it.
Monitoring report?
Oh,
Is that we put it on?
Oh, on that note,
Nice.
you sent me an email, and Phil said that he hasn't been, unless he's in town and catches the digital copy of our minutes, he doesn't get them on. So I've got,
Can't you say referral?
I figured I'd sit on the website and I'd figure out which ones he's
Yeah.
missing, and I'd send
It
them to
means
him.
nothing to
This
us.
is just another thing for me to do, though.
We just send them all and he can figure out which one he doesn't have.
Yeah, he doesn't have a lot of them.
No, just some
Yeah,
of them.
so-
They'll pick and choose.
I've got one other thing that I forgot
Okay.
to mention. I got asked to be on a committee for the water precinct,
Yeah.
and I guess the state, I didn't bring the paperwork with me, so I'm kind of just saying what I remember, but the state has a resource for any public water supply, and the precinct reached out to this committee, this other committee, and they basically, they wanted somebody from the Conservation Commission. They asked me.
You.
So I went to this meeting.
Oh, good.
And I guess for 4 months, once a month, we meet for a couple hours. And there's all these overlay maps, and basically what they're trying to do is they've measured the entire watershed of the Ellis, which is
Yeah.
roughly 29 miles. And the state years ago went in and sort of just through satellite found all the different, water resources, how much of tree cover we have, agricultural land, and they just create a resource map. And so right now what we're doing is trying to figure out what are sources that could pollute the town's water. And it goes all the way up to like the AMC. It seems pretty simple when you look at the map because I guess roughly 94%.
Does the golf course affect that?
Well, 94% of the land area in the Ellis River watershed is forested.
Yeah.
And they did this,
Oh,
you know,
that's-
you
that's
basically
nice.
showed a graph of how much money you save treating water if your water source is forested versus
Oh,
not.
okay.
So the whole idea behind the plan is to protect the water before it gets to
Right.
the treatment plant versus not protect the water and then treat it.
Yeah.
So it's, when you look at it, it's really set up for areas, we kind of have this ideal water source other than say Route 16.
Yeah.
The big fear is an
An
oil
oil
tanker.
truck or
Yeah.
salt.
Yeah.
But
Salt.
the
Plus,
salt,
they've got a way over-designed.
the salt has never come up as an issue. But it's sort of interesting.
Yeah. No,
We talked about the Meserve Brook
Yeah.
plan of trying to get that dam rebuilt as
That's the one up,
up
There.
above Gracefield.
yeah.
Yeah.
Huh.
But, so we go through and you try to, the reason I bring it up is if anyone comes up with anything in their mind of a potential source
Okay.
that could harm the water
Yeah.
in the Ellis River watershed. And, our next meeting is when we put our list together and everybody says, oh, this and that, but they're really,
Yeah,
I
just all,
just figured I'd throw it
94%
out.
is
I
national
can't come up
forest.
with very many.
yeah.
I remember a few years ago, they put together a plan to try and stop people from like having septic systems, stop swimming in the Ellis, and all these different things they were trying to do to like protect the water source, and kind of like, you can't swim in the water?
Yeah, I mean, there's so few. I mean, it's septic,
Yeah.
so.
The biggest is septic and maybe,
Animals.
or fertilizer,
Chemicals.
chemicals. Yeah, fertilizer on
chemicals,
lawns.
and, sediment as a cost to the precinct because, the water comes out through that area of the river. If the sediment gets in there so deep, they have all these ways of blowing air back through to
Yeah.
clear sediment, but sediment is a big issue. So, one of the conversations is, for example, if Sonny Couture's property had been uphill
North of it,
of
yeah.
this,
Yeah.
my brook turns blue every time it rains, and it's only been since that.
Yeah.
So, just as an example,
Yeah.
working in
When you
steep
clear that
slopes,
much land.
Turns blue.
from that's kind of
The
the
sediment.
grit that they're,
I like that
Grinding
milky
up.
kind
yeah, that's
Like a
silky
glacial stream
blue, yeah.
almost.
I mean, they're basically blowing up the ledge to build the road. So, we just talked about the properties that are still left, the areas that you can still
Develop.
develop or up on steep
Yeah.
slopes and,
Blasting's involved, and
yeah. So, it is kind of,
Yeah. no,
I don't think much is going to become of it because
Yeah,
the water source
But
is
in the
pretty
future, it's
protected.
something to look at as that does develop.
Right, there's no gas stations.
You want that?
Let me think about that.
Okay.
We don't have a color scanner.
Okay, but the one thing you could work on is the main sign, and then the
Yeah.
little signs,
I'm gonna start here.
yeah.
You need to get the size to the carpenter though.
Yeah, I mean, I can,
So wait,
I
I
can
can
fix
fix
that.
that. I was kind of guessing this was like 11 by 13 for 9 basis.
That's too small.
Okay.
But,
you guys just tell me what
yeah.
what you want. I mean, if it gets
Well,
over a
Mike, why don't you
certain
figure out
size,
what you need?
Okay.
Yeah,
can't
that's,
be a
that's
single-
what I'm
And
saying,
then-
that's step
yeah.
one.
Yeah.
Well,
The post is in the ground, this was just a, you know, I zinged it out just to get an idea. Don't you look at that gap.
if it,
Is that the right word, Zane?
hey, Mike, if it gets too big, obviously it can't be made out of one rough sawn board.
Yeah,
I mean, I wouldn't think anything much bigger.
yeah, well, that was the biggest rough sawn board I had, so I,
Right, well, you don't get a much
I
bigger
mean,
than
Yeah.
that.
and you can't argue with the cost.
I think that we could probably fit everything.
I mean, I can make
Oh,
that
nice.
work, I would just adjust
Okay.
that angle and recut them, recut
I
the
think if you
miter.
pull this screw out and that screw out, it will
Yeah,
readjust.
it's not-
Just gonna be the map and the description
I had a
of the
question.
Yeah,
stuff.
it's rather,
It's just-
rather
Like
unusual
3 meetings
screw
ago, we've
pattern,
been talking
right?
about a parking lot at the end of Garden Archery
Right.
for Prospect Farm.
Yeah.
Now that
Yeah.
There's a
Morgan is
parking
built,
lot there.
Do we need to never worry about that?
Well,
Fine,
that's,
right?
that's
I
an
mean, like,
that's an
Map
interesting
could go
question.
up top and the descriptions in the bottom.
Let's, he just asked, Jackson Ski Touring put a parking lot up at Prospect. They, Valentine allowed him to put it there. What I don't know the answer to is that going to be a summer and a winter parking lot. I don't know if Valentine has given them permission to,
Oh, so that's private property then.
yeah,
Where's the parking lot? Where
at the end of Prospect there, and I guess
it's
it's,
like right at the gate or right?
No,
don't
it's
know.
where the Huntsman's Trail goes up. I don't know what the ski trail name is.
yeah.
Marsh.
Marsh Brook?
Brook?
Yeah, it's where the Marsh Brook Trail goes to the
Yeah.
left. As you
And it's,
drive.
and I understand it's large.
Yeah,
I thought I
Before Bob
read
Brook or after
32.
Bob Brook?
before Bog Brook.
Oh, before
Like
Bob
right
Brook.
before
On
you
the
go
left.
down the hill.
Yes, okay, yeah.
So how much further would you have to walk from that parking lot to get to Prospect Farm?
Pretty far.
Yeah.
So-
A
Uh,
mi- a
It's not
mile?
gonna be
I
a
was
summer
gonna say.
place.
That's what I'm-
Half mile,
Yeah.
half mile to 3/4.
That's what I'm wondering, if we still don't need a parking lot up there for the summertime.
That's a wonder,
In the
you
fall.
can walk, you could make your walk better by having that parking lot there instead of, you just go up Marsh Brook and then take a right, and then you're at,
Yeah.
Well, we need to probably,
That's really
Yeah, go up the
Tell
Huntsman's Trail and
people.
you're on the Quail Trail.
Right.
And you're there.
but people would need to know that.
You have to be signed.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's.
And then we do have to find out, he called me apparently this weekend, and I wasn't around, so I didn't get back to him, but when he originally was doing this over the summer, he told me, and I don't know if this is true, he was just in the negotiating part at the time, that they weren't going to, they didn't want people to utilize that in the summer. This is a private,
This is what
you know,
Tom-
this would only be used in the winter.
this is what Tom Perkins.
Tom was telling me at the time, so I don't know if that's still true or not. I have to find out from Tom.
I'd be surprised, I mean.
Yeah, why wouldn't
Is
they?
it- does-
Yeah,
Yeah.
but it is private property, it's up to the Valentines. But let's
Parking lot's
find
on
out.
the right-hand side?
It's on the left-hand
Left,
side as you drive
Left-hand
up.
side as you drive up.
Yeah, it's literally right where the Marsh Brook Trail comes down, which is also the Hutman's hiking trail.
Yeah,
Yeah.
where Marsh Brook, Hutman's,
So do they have to,
the
they
quail.
must have leveled that off and figured out.
Yeah.
But his question is whether or not, you know, is us putting a parking lot in moot at this point? And I don't know the answer to that. I think that we might still need a parking lot up there.
I think Tom
Doesn't-
tends to always say that everything they do is only for winter use.
So I'll talk to Tom, and then if we put a parking lot in, it doesn't have to be that large, you know, and it doesn't have to be fancy, and it would, you know, Jay would end up doing the work probably, you know, we'd ask him to do it, and the Conservation Commission could pay for the fill. And, but
I'd be inclined to really try and work to see if we can make that a summer parking lot.
Yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think
let's-
we want-
Right, two parking,
Several
Like 3 or
different
4.
parking lots,
well, two
yeah, I
parking
agree.
lots.
Well, yeah, but then there's the Bog Brook one there, and there's like the couple spaces, and then there's like the parking for Camp Gow. I mean, you just don't want to go up there and have.
Well,
be
parking for
confusing.
Camp Gow is theirs, yeah, so we,
But I mean,
People park
technically-
there all the time
people
though,
park-
don't
yeah.
they?
They do.
Yeah.
I didn't know you weren't.
yeah, but it's their property,
Yeah.
you know, so
But I mean, I just wouldn't want to drive up there and have there be like 5 different parking lots, each for 5 different uses, and have be
Right.
confusing as to where you're.
I think right, if you park there, you fix the problem. You're not gonna drive down the bottleneck road. when
If,
someone comes
if,
back
if,
out.
Yeah.
if the Valentines have allowed for that. That's the,
Didn't
the
we
bottom
just-
line.
Did we not just work with them on the boundaries, or didn't we?
We
cover the
spoke to
cost.
them and then we did our boundary, but we didn't,
They didn't cover any of the,
no,
we didn't pass the cost on to them at all?
no, we picked up that cost.
We should just talk to them nicely.
Yeah, well, I think I remember speaking to one woman on the phone once, one of the relatives, and she seemed to be very nice, and the fact that they allowed them to put a parking lot.
Yeah.
So let's nail that down before we answer that question or look at it, and it's
No, it's fine.
next year anyway. Okay, we good? Motion to adjourn?